We will call the BZA to order. Consideration approval of the minutes of 25 November 2019.
I make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Meeting's passed. We'll now close the BZA and open a public hearing. And this public hearing, there's going to be two of these, and so you'll all have opportunity, I'll tell you that right up front, to speak if you want to speak. We're a special exception request for multifamily use in a C3 general commercial district for property located at North Spring Street and North Church Street. It's a Dixon request. Come in, sir. Did we have any written complaints or telephonic complaints or discussion about this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we did have 3 calls from residents. Myrna Holman, located at 108 Zachary Street, Donna Burns, 606 North Church, Lou Ledford, 526 North Good Pasture Street, and they just stated that they were against multifamily use in a C3 zone.
Anyone like to?
Yeah, my name's Jerry Copeland. You guys know who I am. My grandmother and granddaddy one built a house that LG and them bought in 1900. So this land's been my family way over 100 years. When Daddy died in 2008, me and Brenda bought the house at 519 North Church Street. I ain't got nothing against nobody other than just saying is that, let me ask one question. The notice that I got, some of the notices of all the neighbors I've talked to, they ain't got nothing. Nobody sent nobody nothing except me. Why did they do that?
They were sent to adjacent property owners, sir.
She's right across the road. This one's right next door.
According to the tax map, sir, we sent them out to everyone who touched the property.
These people ain't got nothing. Nobody knew nothing about it until I got this in the mail. So
Well,
that's
sir,
kind
I'm
of
sure
concerning to me from that standpoint.
It was in the paper, too.
Pardon me?
It was put in the paper also.
Well, it's concerning to me that nobody of my neighbors knew nothing about it other than the ones I got. So I ain't got nothing against nobody other than you guys know who I am. I don't want no low housing, multiple units built in my front yard. I know where you all live. Let them build it in your front yard. Don't build it in mine because I don't want it. Well, it's wet down there behind me too. But I'm just saying is that I ain't got nothing against anybody other than this land means something to me. It's been my family over 100 years. And then it was zoned from the standpoint of knowing what the land was when they zoned it, when they bought it. Therefore, they knew what they was going to get when they bought it. They knew they was going to build it, what they was going to build there. And to rezone it, to put low multiple units on it is nothing I want. I don't want it built in my front yard. That's all, what else can I say?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak.
Yes, sir, come up to the microphone.
Mr. Copeland's one of my friends. I think he's kind of confused what we're doing. And that house that they've had in their family for 200 years,
Well,
for a while it wasn't theirs. I let them have it back after I bought it.
Sir, what's your name?
Ed Dixon. And you remember all the old houses that was across the street there? Where the people laying out there in their bikinis. It looked horrible. Sewers running out the back of them.
Sir,
Has nothing to do with that.
Sir.
I will. I just wanted to say that I bought his house fair and square when they sold his daddy's property. I asked him before I bought it if he wanted it. He said, no, we can't. He said, it will break our family up if I buy it. Well, I bought the house while I was up in Kentucky, and had it put in my name, but actually before I had it put in my name, he asked me if he could buy it back, and I said, sure, you can buy it back, but I just wanted to know that he hadn't had it for 200 years. But now across the street, we're not wanting to put multifamily dwellings in over there. Actually, it is zoned right now till I can put apartment buildings in there, is that right?
No, you can put multifamily use with permission from the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I thought it says commercial.
It's commercial,
And
multifamily.
apartment houses are commercial, if I understand right.
Multifamily use,
Or they're-
apartment,
they're-
excuse me,
they-
sir, multifamily use is considered apartments. That is
Right.
not commercial, they're considered a residential use.
But it can be built in commercial property.
With approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Well, that's not my understanding. There was 4 houses.
That's what's in the.
Well, can I
the
just have
ordinance.
what I got to say? You don't have to agree with me, but you do need to listen at me. When I bought that property, there was 4 old houses there that were dilapidated. They had bums laying in them. It was not fit for human dwelling. I went in and bought where the old concrete plate was at. Same way there. It was all run down. I went in and I cleaned it up, and I spent $250,000 on a building I put there. That's just a building. And then I went ahead and bought these other old houses up there. As I got the money, I give $20,000 and $25,000 a piece for them. And as soon as I got them to where I could, I dozed them all, cleaned it up. And I told Mr. Copeland, he was at the time, I said, if you'll give me time, I'll clean this place up over here, it'll look decent. And he said, I hope you will. But now I'm running into this. I don't know what the complaint is. All I've done is took that side of town, spent $1 million on it, and made it worth what it is now. Now they tell me I can't use it for nothing but commercial stores or whatever. There's no place from the park commercial stuff there. Nowhere. And most of you should know exactly where it's at. Now tell me again that I can't put apartment buildings in there. Because I don't understand why is the reason I'm asking.
Yes, sir. You can put apartments there, multifamily use. You can do what you're asking to do with permission from this board. Without permission from this board, you cannot.
Okay, well, I've told you what I've got 15, almost 20 years of my life tied up there. So, I don't understand why I can't build them. Let's just put it that way.
Sir, can I ask you, what do you plan on putting there?
Single-family dwellings.
How many single-family dwellings?
There's room for about 8. 4 facing north the Bilberry Street and 4 facing the other street in the back.
What kind of buildings are we talking about?
There'll be modular homes.
Modular homes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
LG Puckett. I own the property next to Mr. Ed. I know Mr. Ed, and he knows me, and I don't like telling people, I don't like it when somebody tells me when I can and can't build on my own property. I'm not that guy to say that kind of thing, but it is zone commercial. I mean, I've got a commercial office right next to it. He does own the property. He can build commercial buildings. I'm against the multifamily use. You know, there's a whole host of other things that come along with that. You know, the infrastructure, I mean, is it there? The sewer, the water, all that stuff has to be put there. The traffic's going to be, you know, more right there. I think that close to the square and that close to my business, I don't want it. I'm against it, guys. I think you would be, you know, I have to go back to his comment. I mean, if your business was there or your house was there, would you want it there? I don't think so. I mean, but I'm voicing my opinion. I'm totally against it. So, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Brenda Copeland, Jerry's husband. We live at 519 North Church Street. And I guess our concern is the same as any property owner or homeowner. We want to preserve the value of our property and the neighborhood. And any type of multi-housing, which our notice said multi-housing, it didn't say single housing, it said multifamily use. It changes the value of our property, it changes the landscape of the neighborhood, and as LG said, it brings on a host of other concerns as well. I think the term multiple implies just what it says. There's multiple tenants, multiple vehicles, multiple traffic, more lighting, more activity. There's movement of tenants in and out. Generally in that type of housing, there's a lot of coming and going rather than just someone who invests in a single property home. Generally, people who rent don't have the same respect for the neighborhood or their property as people who invest in a home, in single family homes. And the current zoning is there to protect people like us, people like LG, other people who live nearby, so that our values stay the same, so that the landscape of our property stays the same. So to ask for changes is a detriment to the property owner in this instance for multifamily use. And Mr. Dixon's right, he did improve the property in front of our house, taking out all those homes that were there and the renters that were there, and we really appreciate that. And this is nothing against him. This just strictly has to do with the value of our property and how we want our property and neighborhood to be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I maybe can clear some things up in regards to the letter that was sent out stating that it was multifamily. The reason that it was worded that way, and the reason why we said multifamily is because when I was approached, and myself and Mr. Mansell, about what Mr. Dixon wanted to do, he stated he wanted to put 3 to 8 homes on the same piece of property and not divide it up. So if it were to be divided into single lots and one home on each lot, that would be a single family use. But when there are multiple structures on the property with multiple people living in it, it goes into the multifamily. So my apologies for the confusion, but that's why it is multifamily and not single family.
Well, I think the concern would remain the same, having that many houses, that many people living that close in proximity to other commercial properties and other single-family residences.
Just for clarification, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir?
Okay, my name is Dan Dixon. I wanted to bring it to the board's attention, everyone else says, this is also property that we've had listed with real estate agents since 2004. After so many years with no luck and prospects in selling the property, we wanted to develop the property to have an income for ourselves as well as the town of Livingston on the extra taxes. As far as the extra traffic and so forth, we're actually laying out the land to be brought in off of Spring Street to keep it off of North Church Street. But once again, this is property we've had for sale for right now 16 years, listed with a real estate company with no luck of selling it. So I've got dead land laying there. I wanted to turn around and get some income for the people. At the time that we purchased this property, it was residential. There was 4 homes there. I still have 1 residential home on this piece of property that we're talking about at this time. Any questions?
I have one for Mr. Dixon. You said when you purchased the property back in 2004? Is that when you purchased it?
No, we purchased it years before that.
Can you tell me approximately when? Doesn't have to be exact. Just give me.
17 years.
So-
Probably 17 years.
So back in 2003 then?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you purchased the property in 2003, there were residences on the property?
There was 4 residents on
4
the property at that time, yes.
And just so I'm clear, we are talking about
We're talking about on Church Street.
54AK number 6, the one right next to the dentist office?
Right.
Okay. Just want to make sure. So when were those homes torn down?
Over the years, we've tore them down. Whenever we had available, one of the homes was tore down in 2019. As recent as 2019.
Okay.
And we
And
are,
do you know when the others were torn down?
I cannot give you And I could have left them sitting right there where they was. I had people want to move in before we started nosing, and I just not the type of people that I would rent to. Even though at that time I had the legal right to rent to anybody I wanted to.
That was my question. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Well, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just for clarification, and this is for Mr. Dixon. We bought the property at 519 North Church Street in 2008, and I don't believe those properties that you tore down were purchased until after that, were they?
No, they weren't. Wait a minute.
So just to answer your question
Ma'am,
correctly,
not, I don't,
I don't know that there's any value in that.
please
but-
direct your questions to the
Okay.
board and not, this is not for
Okay,
you all
sorry.
to discuss.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify and get the correct date there because I think they were purchased after 2008. I know they were torn down after 2008, after we purchased the property at 519 North Church.
Can I speak? Just answer her question.
Sir, when she gets through,
I'll
you
sit
can
down.
come back up and
I cannot tell you when all the different houses was purchased. I know they were there when Mr. Puckett bought the house that he tore down and put his dentist office there. They were there at that time because they sold it basically the same time. I'm positive on that. He had a big white house he tore down. I don't know, I can't tell you what year they were tore down. I bought them one at a time, because that's all they would sell is one at a time. There is one house still there, the people living in it. The one next door to it was tore down 6 months ago, maybe less. City could tell you they tore it down. And then when I asked the city if I could put houses back in there, and also the water and the sewer is already there, and gas is already there. There's nothing has to be brought in. There's a manhole right down in the bottom of the drain there. But I asked the mayor if I could use the old water meters and sewer lines that was there. He said, yeah, if they're usable, which they will be after I dig them out. He said, there's no problem, you can go ahead and use those. And the first time I found out we had a problem is when I don't know when they found it out. I guess about 2 or 3 months ago. And I was told then, and I think I'm saying this right, I was told then that after a house was tore down, after so many lengths of time, it automatically went back as commercial. Is that right? Okay. Well, no.
It's not that simple.
Nobody contacted me on anything. And the only reason there is not still 4 or 5 lots there measured off, as you can see on the thing there with road frontage, is the tax assessor, Larry King at the time. He said, Ed, you can put those all in one lot and save you quite a bit of income tax. And he also, land taxes. He also told me at the same time, I said, what's he gonna do if I wanna do something with it? He said, all you gotta do is come over here and I'll put them back like they were to start with. He said, we're not violating any laws. We're just trying to save you a few dollars of property tax. Now, so if you're saying if I hadn't have put them all in as one lot, that we wouldn't be here today?
No, I don't think so. I don't, like I said, no, because that property would still be zoned C3 there and single family.
Even though there's only like 80
Correct.
foot frontage?
Correct?
What in the heck would you put there? Chicken house?
Not for me to say, sir.
Well, I guess it's for me to try to do something because we've got a whole lot of money tied up there. And by the way, it's brought the city in a lot of tax money out of my pocket.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Kathy Smith. I live on North Spring Street, and I'm not for the multi-level or multi-housing. I think it would take away from the value of our property plus the value of the city's property, and I'm not for it.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? Anyone else would like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Helen Carter, and I live behind, on Spring Street behind. I overlook that property, shall we say, which is certainly not always a park-like atmosphere. But what I really would like to know is what type of homes is he talking about? Is he talking about mobile homes, modular homes, and could we have some idea of what these would look like? And would he be tearing down all of the things that are there now to put these homes in? Also, right across from where I live, someone, and I would assume Mr. Dixon, without, so far as I know, anybody being notified, put in a drug and alcohol, some sort of drug and alcohol rehab type program for court-ordered offenders. And that's just one example of the things that we've had over there. And so I...
I'd like to address that also.
All right, sir.
The people who come over there have been, may still be, shouldn't be, drug and alcohol offenders. But there is no drugs or alcohol in that building or on that property anywhere. This is where they report once a month to and are checked to see if they're still clean. I don't know that's hurting anybody, but, and as far as looking over our building and not like what they see, they should have seen when I bought it. It was full of dead animals. It was full of old dozer parts. It was full of everything in the world. And I have spent a fortune putting tile in and having it filled in. And just because you don't like your neighbor don't mean you can't keep somebody from coming there. That's my opinion anyway. You've got to have a better reason. I just don't like the way the property's going to look, or maybe you don't. But we took that. It was 14 foot deep over there, down to the culvert. And it all run in down that big hole that was there then. By the help of the city, we filled that hole in. It took about 10 years. And I put 42-inch tile in all under there. And as far as they would let me put it down and see what I'm doing now. And if she would have looked over in there then, she may not have lived there then, but if she'd looked over in there when I bought it, there was dead animals. There was everything in the world in there when we started trying to fill it in and make it look decent and help the community, I thought.
Sir, would you address her question about the type of homes and what they would look like? That was one of
I
her
can show you
questions.
pictures of what they'll look like. I can't show you what they'll look like until I put them in there. But I can show you pictures and diagrams of what they'll look like. They will come in two pieces. It'll be anywhere from part will be anywhere from 12 to 16 foot wide. They're 14 foot wide. And you'll bring the extra another half in, and you will put them together, put a permanent foundation under them, put a porch on the front of them, and that's about all I can tell you. They will be new homes. There is no used homes. I've got some sitting on the other side of town. If they want to go and look at them, they're welcome to. I've got one that's, Livingston Funeral Home over there. If you'll just go on past it and look at it, sitting down a little bit below the street there, and to me it looks pretty daggone good. Again, I took that over there and cleaned it up and done the same thing that I've done on this side of town, and the mayor and all of them definitely know what I were doing at the time. I had to get permission from them. I had to get permits. I had to put them into their specifications. I'm doing the same thing over there. A mobile home is not much you run up and down the street anymore. They don't even need to be called mobile homes. I don't know of anything that any of us has got that you can put hook to them and go up and down the street with. And you also have to have regulations to pull them up and down the streets. So the name mobile home is a definite misleading to the mobile home business. I admit some of the mobile home, we got a mobile home park sitting on the other side of town. I hate to say anything bad about it. It's just been sitting there for 2 years now, empty. I join it. I've got houses. I've got 2 double-wide mobile homes over there. I've got a 3-plex apartment building over there. I've got $100,000 in, and I just don't understand.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else like to speak? There being no further comments, we will close this public hearing and reopen the BZA. We have proposed a request for a special exemption request for multifamily use in the C3 General Commercial District for property located in North Spring and North Church Street. Dixon request. Discussion, anyone?
I think of the downtown square as being the hub of Livingston, and I know Livingston's a small town, but what goes out around there is that commercial property is valuable and will be valuable in the years to come. I mean, when people come in with new businesses, they got to put them somewhere. The closer to downtown, the better for new businesses. That's where they want to put their businesses. I think changing it from commercial to this multifamily would be a mistake for Livingston, because I think we want to attract businesses here, and giving away property that is now commercial to another use limits our commercial property. So I just have a real issue with changing from commercial.
Anyone else? Comment, discussion, questions?
I would just like to clear something up real quick. I want to just elaborate a little bit on what Mr. Dixon was saying about the type of homes, because I think that's pretty important as far as what would be going in there. It's a double wide, right? It's two homes, or 2 halves, excuse me, but it would probably have that state distinction where it is considered a single family.
Yes, it is a single family.
I wanted to make sure, because I figured that's what you were talking about.
It is a single family. That's why I say I can't understand why it was called a multiple family.
Because there are multiple single-family
Yes,
homes, sir.
but if
That's why.
stick built 6 houses in there, it's still multiple, still many families, but I don't think I'd be having this trouble if we was gonna do that. But to talk to you about your question of businesses, I built the building right on past there, North Church Tree Shopping Center, 10,000 square feet. I built 10 businesses in there. And I built right on this side of it another, I think it's 30 or 40 storage buildings. Well, I also built where this place is at, they're calling a drug house. I built that too. It sits there empty for, I don't know how long, because I could not rent it. And then I did rent it to a drug house. David Sadler was the one. And then the people started moving out of mine, not because of David Sadler being there, because this is before they ever moved in. Started moving out of my 10 businesses over there because they could not exist in Livingston, Tennessee with the amount of money and the customers that came through. So I'm sitting here with a $250,000 building. I put a used furniture store in it to have something in it. Still got it in it. And it's if I was depending on the used furniture store as a business to make a living, I couldn't keep the doors open, let alone take on my salary. And so I'm just telling you what you're up against in this town when you're trying to build a commercial building and rent it. Not on the square.
He was addressing his question.
I just wanted to explain what.
Any other discussion? Phyllis, you call roll.
Well, I'm sorry, we need a motion.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Call roll when we do. I will entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
I make a motion to disapprove this request.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Phyllis, will you call a roll on that?
David Langford.
No.
Daniel.
Yes.
Barbie. Yes. Charles.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, we have motion to disapprove. Roll call vote with majority voting to disapprove. That's that. Any other discussion on that? Thank you very much. We will now close the BZA meeting and open up another public hearing for the consideration of a special request, exception request for multi-family use in C3 General Commercial Property District for property located on North Spring Street and North Church Street. Mr. Dixon requests. We'll close this meeting for a public hearing now.
That's what we just heard.
Did I say the wrong one? Bradbury property, I'm sorry. I read the wrong one, I'm sorry. Bradbury property. Consideration special request for multifamily use C3 district for property located at North Spring and North Church. Bradbury request.
No, it's at 5, it's at Church Street, it's not on Spring Street.
521 to 525.
Zachary is street, you're correct, Mr. Copeland, thank you. Did we have any?
I have a conflict of interest here, so I'll have to abstain from the voting and discussion.
Are we supposed to say something?
Open up a public hearing for consideration of this exemption for multifamily use in commercial property, the property located at Zachary Street and North Church Street, a Bradbury request. Is there any discussion? Please. I forget to turn this thing on, excuse me.
I've got the, my name's Jerry Copeland. I got the same thing I said a few minutes ago. Instead of the front of my daddy's house, this is on the right side of my daddy's house, which I bought, which is, they had a barber shop in those things, in them storage buildings. I have the same thing as far as saying I do not want nothing built there other than what's there now. Same referral as I said a few minutes ago. I don't want no kind of multi-house built on the side of in my front, on my side of my house. I'm against it. I mean, and let me ask the question, do you know what they wanting to do there? Are they wanting to tear it down and put multi-units in, or what are they wanting to do? Because there ain't nothing but storage buildings there now.
Yes, sir, Mr. Copeland. Ms. Nolan and Mr. Bradbury are here tonight, and they do have kind of a floor plan for what they want to do. The existing storefront there has 4 existing I guess,
Right.
units there. They would refurbish refurbish them into dwelling units. They wouldn't be doing any new, tearing down anything or building anything back. They'd just be repurposing the existing structures there.
Just the ones on the front. What about the ones on the side?
Not part of this discussion,
I
sir.
heard that they was wanting to tear them down and rebuild them too. That's why I was asking the question.
Well, yeah, but as far as we know, nothing has been submitted to that effect, sir.
Okay. I'm still against it.
Noted in the minutes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Brenda Copeland, 519 North Church Street. I would just echo the same concerns that I expressed previously, except more concern because this is just next door to our property, which means that even if it was just the front units that were being refurbished into multi-housing, you still have the same issues with more traffic, more people, more activity. It's a very small area and a very narrow area there for parking. And it still interjects the same issues that we have as property owners as we had just discussed. It devalues their property. It certainly doesn't increase their property. It's zoned commercial. It should stay commercial, and that protects the value of all the property owners in that area. Thank you.
Thank you.
When they put the commercial properties over there, they had a barber shop over there. And then they had something else, I can't what it was. I didn't say nothing about that. But the reason being it's commercial and it's zoned commercial. I can't say anything because that's the way it is. But if you put houses over there and try to rent stuff, how would you like people coming in there you don't know nobody about? They may have, you don't know who they are. And you got more traffic, you got more things going on that concerns me about, my confidentiality of where I live at. Who are these people? Are they drug addicts or what are they? I don't know who they are. Would you want that at your house? That's all I asked. And that's what you get when you get multiple houses that you don't know nobody who they are.
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
My name's David Pryor, and I represent Scott Bradbury.
You need to repeat that,
What was your name
sir.
again?
David Pryor. The storage units are going to stay. They're not going to be tore down right beside. I don't understand, I don't know where his property's at right there, but I've got a pretty good idea, I think.
The ones with the brick house right on the left side, it's got the
Yeah.
big red front chimney.
Yeah, the only thing he's wanting to do is, he's wanting to turn the offices into apartments. That's all. And change the front of the building, put the decks on it, and petition off on the inside. And he took it over, I think, last year, wasn't it, Ed?
About a year ago.
About a year ago, and I've been there since May. We've redone 2 of the offices. We've not had a phone call on them. Nobody wanting to rent them. And that's where that's at. And as far as keeping it clean, we would. I mean, he owns the ones over at 608 East Main Street. We went in there, we cleaned them up. We run off the people that was bad and tried to put good ones in there. The trailer park over there, Town and Country, on the other hand, has got some work that's got to be done. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It does. It does have work. And that's basically all we wanted to do. There'd be 4 of them. The business can stay as long as they want to. I talked to him, or I talked to him today about that. The business can stay as long as they want to. So there'd just be 3 if the business stayed. But it's 4 apartments is what it is.
Can it be zoned like that?
That was my question to Tommy. Can you have it be both storage and apartment?
So what are you changing the zone to?
Not really. Wouldn't be rezoning anything. The zone would stay the same. Same with the previous case. You would just be giving them exception, correct?
So it's still commercial zone?
Correct.
Yeah, but, I mean, I guess I need to.
Yeah, you need to get up
Yeah,
there
but
if you don't
who
talk.
decides what if they want to do the rest of them? Do they have to come get permission again? Or is that set the precedent to where anybody could, whoever owns that property could do whatever they wanted to?
If we were to grant an exception to the C3 commercial,
Right.
it would be for that property, that piece of property right there, for those things he's
They could do
asking
whatever
for.
they wanted to, no matter
Wouldn't
who
have any-
owned it.
It has nothing to do with anything else. No, he's wanting to build a multi-use apartments there. And that's what the exception would.
Or it could be business and multi-use apartments, and they could switch it back and forth.
That's what you're granting if, according to the.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Is that from now on that property? I mean, if that business decides to leave, can he turn that into apartments and then go back and turn the other one into businesses?
We're in the speculation. The way the board's going, I may quit anyway, but.
I can answer that.
That would be
Yeah,
come
that's
back before the
my
board
question.
again with a different request.
Yeah, I mean, I can answer that. If it's permitted use, then yeah, I mean, if
You do whatever you want to with it.
Yes, that's correct, because I mean, it's permitted. But if we grant the
This
special
is
exception.
why you shouldn't grant permission, because then you lose control of it. I mean, that's the whole point.
I don't agree with that. I mean, if with that, right, and I'm just
Because
speaking,
you're not living right next to it.
I'm speaking on this particular instance over here so
Yeah.
you have 4 units. Right now, you have 1 that is existing commercial
Right.
use, and then 3 that are vacant. If we granted the special exception, it would be for the 3 vacant offices, because we couldn't.
Goes with the property,
No,
though,
no,
right?
sir, I don't think so. I don't think
Just-
it would. If he were to want to do more multifamily, then he would have to come back and get another special exception.
Is that because it says 521 to 525? Is that?
Well, I
that's
mean, it's
for-
just, if you, because the parking standards would change if you add more units.
But what I'm saying is with the request, does that request cover that piece of property or just?
It just recovers it covers the request for the units that are being presented in front of us.
Which is 4 units? Is that right? Is that what, 521 to 525, is that the 4
Yeah,
front units?
and I don't think it would cover the unit that is existing as a commercial right now, because it's an existing use. I think they would need to come back and.
Well, what are the numbers called that apply to the storage buildings? What are those numbers?
I'd say that's probably the same use.
So it's my question is, so could they later, because it's all in one request, could they turn those storage units, could they make that apartments?
If they came back and got another special
But
exception.
it wouldn't allow it with
No,
this one request?
it would not.
Can I say something again? Those 5 storage units are the ones on Church Street. That's probably 1/3 of what's there. All them other storage units is, it's like she said, if you grant that for them 5 sitting out front, if you own the land, what would you do with all the stuff that's behind it? It's all storage units now, and there ain't nothing there. So if you grant that for them 5, what's to say, well, okay, I've got them 5 now, I'll go back and tear all these others down and put that. I'll have nothing but apartments, houses over there. And you think I want that? Would you want that if it was your house living there? That's all I'm saying. Like he said, if you grant 5 of them, these 2/3 of them back there that ain't got nothing done to them now, what's going to happen to them? That's what, I might as well just move out. Like I said, it's been my family over 120 years.
Thank you, sir.
Would you want that?
Can I say something?
Mr. Dixon had his up first, Ms. Copeland. Yes, sir.
There's only 4 buildings over there, 4 in that one building. They could even be changed to residential. I built all of that over there. The others are built, if you're going to change them, you've got to doze them and start again, because they cannot be changed over, because they're not built to be changed over. And again, I bought that property after it laid there empty for, I don't know how many years, a lot of years. And just like a lot of the property laying here in Livingston is laying here empty. And evidently, the attitude that you are taking, that you don't want people that rent houses or to live nowhere in this town, nobody wants them next to them. Well, Mr. Copeland has, I think, 2 living next to him now, on this side of him there. And,
That's enough.
well, if he was one of those, does he talking to me or talking to you? If he was one of those people that didn't have a home,
Sir?
I asked if he's talking to me or, and I'm talking to
Well,
you.
I'm talking to you too.
Okay.
And you too, sir. Please, if you're gonna get personal, get outside. Thank you.
Do I get to talk anymore? I'm
Sir?
sorry, I didn't understand what you said.
I said, if you're gonna get personal, get outside.
I'm not getting personal. I wasn't getting personal with nobody.
Well, when you're talking to each other.
Well, but the attitude that all you are taking, and most of the people in this room, let them live anywhere but close to me. You're saying that the business out of from the courthouse will go down there. There's no for business on my property down there unless I want to build more storage buildings. And I don't know. I've had I had 20 apartments over here on Railroad Street. I have 26, 24, 25 on Martin Street over here now. I've got houses all over town, and I have never done anything to hurt this town that I know of. I have brought taxes and money into this town, into this county. Each one of these apartments has to have a water meter. Each one of it has to have a electrical. They have to pay their electric bills, or gas bills, or water bills. And one thing, and I'll just get personal with y'all right now, one thing's wrong with this town is we don't want nobody in it unless it's somebody that we prefer to come in it. I fought for 10 years to come into this town, and they tried to run me out. And Mr. Wingham was mayor then, and me and him got together, and we had a little agreement. You don't fight me, I won't fight you. But I'm staying, and I'm sure you're staying. You've been here forever. But now that's how it took to get me in this town. And I've spent over $2 million in this town, not counting the amount of money that the taxes, the water meters, the electrical companies brought in.
Sir, I don't mean to be disrespectful.
I know you don't, and I don't need to be either. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to sit down, and I built the buildings that they've got, and those front buildings there were built for apartments if commercial couldn't make it there, and they can't.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I need to amend my statement from earlier regarding Mr. Puckett's question about the, about what would be approved if we approve this. It would cover the parcel. Yeah, it did. I'm sorry. I wasn't clear on maybe what he was asking me. It would cover the parcel, and then what would happen is if we granted this special exception use, then a site plan would be permitted, it would be presented to the Planning Commission, and that is what would be approved. If they wanted to amend that site plan, as in build more, then they would have to submit another site plan to the Planning Commission. It would not come back in front of the BZA though, so my apologies there on that. Hope that clarifies that now.
Yes, ma'am.
Your clarification is even more reason to object, because if you're a property owner, you don't want to deal in speculation. What if you approve these 5? What if you approve, or there's a plan to do more there? It's still the same property. It's still next to homes that are single family. It still presents the same issues in terms of additional traffic, additional people moving in and out, renters that you don't know like you do your own single-family neighbors, your security's in question. It's just not appropriate. It's just not something that a property owner should have to deal with. And we have to rely on you as our spokespersons to make the right decision. And we're asking you to make the right decision and leave the property zoned as commercial.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I commend Ed Dixon for what he's did. I mean, he's done a good job for all that. I ain't got nothing to him personally at all. It's just like my wife said. If you had a house there, you don't know who's gonna come in and stay there, and it's multi-facet homes, I mean, you just take the chance on what's going on. And if you grant this for that 5 in the front, what's to say, what's gonna be the 2/3 of the land that's there, what's gonna happen to it? They tear it down and make it commercial, put residential homes there too? That's all my problem, only thing I've got. I ain't got Ed Dixon's a good friend of mine. I ain't got nothing to say, and he's always been honest and upfront with me. So he's been a good man. But all I've got, my problem is where the house I bought, Daddy's house, and I've had in our family over 120 years. I just don't want it downgraded to the point where we're building anything and everything there that don't know who they are. You wouldn't want that either. None of you would. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak?
Just one other thing. It's not just us. Obviously, we're more concerned about our property because it's our property, but it affects our neighbors too, people that we live next door to, both on the other side of Zachary Street, our side of Zachary Street, Church Street. So it's not just our property, it's all the property owners in that area that you have to take into consideration, who might not be here tonight to speak, who might not have seen the notice or received a notice. You have to take that into consideration as well. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
She is speaking about all these other properties and everything in the area, and I really don't have any facts or figures.
Sir, come up to the microphone.
She is speaking about all this other property that's in her area, and I actually have absolutely no facts and no figures other than my gut and my knowledge. Approximately half of those are rental homes that she's talking about around her home.
No.
Yes, sir.
I take exception to that.
You know, like I said, I have no facts, no figures or anything. I know there's a duplex on Zachary Street right from there. I know there was a triplex on Zachary Street that burned right beside them. I know that the home next to them is a rental home, and I know the homes down from them is a rental home. If they don't want anybody next to them, they should buy the property next to them.
Can I say one other thing?
Yes, sir. One more time.
All right. Now, he's talking about being rental properties. The house next door to me, Lou Ledford, she don't own it. She owns the house. She called in and said she didn't want that person there. Donna Staggs, which I can't remember what her name is now since she's married, one that owns the little restaurant beside the police station. She lives right there in front of these 5. She called you today and told you she didn't want that there, didn't she?
Donna Bourne?
Yeah, Donna Burns. Donna Burns. Johnny Holman, the next door to me, that's right next to these storage buildings, his wife called you, Maria Holman, Johnny Holman. He said he didn't want it there. That's not a rental property. So all them people that's right there next to it owns them houses. I don't know what he's talking about rental property, but ain't none of them wants it done. So that's all I got to say. I'm just saying, he said it's rental. All the ones that own the houses right there next to it do not want it done.
Thanks, sir. Any other discussion? We will close the public hearing and open up the BZA for discussion of the special request for multi-use at property at Zachary and North Church Street, the Bradbury request. Discussion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to add Ms. Myrna Holman, 108 Zachary Street, Donna Burns, 606 North Church, Lou Ledford, 526 North Good Pasture did call in, voicing opposition to the request, special session.
My thought is basically the same as it was with the other request. I know that you all do wonderful things with buying property and taking care of it and improving and paying taxes, Mr. Dixon, and you represent Mr. Bradbury. And I know that the town of Livingston truly appreciates that. But I think, in my opinion, and I know these residents object because they don't like the multifamily use, and I understand that. But I still think, to me, a lot of it is going from losing the commercial aspect of these properties. And I think I know right now you're having trouble selling, renting, whatever, commercial. But in the future of Livingston, I think we have to think about the future of Livingston. And the future is, we hope that businesses will move out, further out from downtown, and that it will all be a thriving area. And I think that's why I have the objection. I don't want to see us give up our commercial properties. I think it's, in the long run, it would be, no, we've already closed, I'm sorry, sir.
This is a closed board meeting.
Well, she's addressing me.
If you want to ask a question.
I don't have a question. I was just explaining my point of view, but that's my objection, is I don't want to lose the commercial aspect of these properties. I think in the future, they may be, hopefully will be needed and wanted and improved upon. And, I hope that whoever owns them now will continue to strive to improve them and make them valuable as commercial properties. Thank you.
I would like to ask one more question.
Sir, we're in closed session. I'm sorry, we were open.
Well, I wouldn't have asked to say anything if she brought this.
Any other discussion? I have a motion to either approve or disapprove this request.
I make a motion to disapprove this request.
I have a second to disapprove request.
I'll second it.
Phyllis, will you call roll? And note that Daniel is abstaining.
Okay.
We'll get that on the record.
David?
Well, first of all, I think this is kind of a different situation than the other one. I'm kind of like LG there. I'm not telling the person what to do with their property. I'm not. And I think the other situation is Mr. Dixon was trying to develop it to bring in income. I can see that part right there. But, this, is already developed, it's commercial and everything. I think we should leave it as it is. So, is it yes to deny it? Yes to deny it.
Daniel?
Abstain.
Barbie?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion to keep the property denied, the request is unanimous. I will entertain any other business. Entertain a motion to dismiss.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for